The begins with the introduction of Park Kang, a burgeoning and renowned actor whose ascent to fame had made him immensely wealthy. His mother was now able to indulge in anything she desired due to his substantial fortune, leading him to take pride in his extraordinary stroke of luck. Park Kang resided in an opulent and costly apartment, accompanied always by his manager, Jo Yoon. Previously an aspiring actor who had struggled to secure significant roles, Jo Yoon had forsaken acting to oversee Park Kang's professional commitments and schedule. One fateful evening, Park Kang attended a gathering for filmmakers and was bestowed with the accolade for the Best Male Actor. During his acceptance speech, he recounted his humble beginnings and upbringing in a remote locale, making this occasion a pivotal milestone in his life. Simultaneously, Seo-hwan, a former flame of Park Kang from his pre-wealth days, observed his award win on television. Recently returned from New York to host her art exhibition in Seoul, the event coincided with Christmas Eve. Although Jo Yoon was preparing to depart for quality time with his family, Park Kang persuaded him to join him for a visit to a bar they used to frequent before his fame. There, they reminisced about their shared past, including their joint audition for a movie role many years ago. They reflected on how Park Kang's success led to his fame, while Jo Yoon chose a different path, becoming his manager. Jo Yoon couldn't help but wonder how life might have unfolded differently had Park Kang not clinched that role, possibly leading to a family with Seo-hwan and a contented life. Park Kang recalled how he had ended his relationship with Seo-hwan at the same bar a decade ago. She had departed for New York to pursue her art career while he had concentrated on his acting pursuits. Upon leaving the bar, Park Kang invited Jo Yoon to join him at another establishment, but Christmas Eve prompted Jo Yoon's desire to be with his family. He recommended that Park Kang take a taxi home. In the taxi, an inebriated Park Kang engaged in conversation with the driver. The driver felt fortunate to have a famous actor as his passenger on Christmas Eve, assuming Park Kang must be living a dream life brimming with happiness, given his wealth and fame. However, Park Kang confided in the driver, revealing that riches and renown did not guarantee happiness. This conversation took an unusual turn when the driver posed a peculiar question: what if Park Kang could alter his past? The driver offered to assist in making this wish come true. The following morning, Park Kang awoke in an unfamiliar house, greeted by two children who addressed him as their father. To his astonishment, his long-lost love, Seo-hwan, now stood as his wife, assuming he was still suffering from the effects of the previous night's drinking. Park Kang attempted to contact Jo Yoon but found himself unable to reach him. Returning to his opulent apartment, he found that no one recognized him. Breaking into his own residence, he suspected a robbery had occurred, resulting in confusion and police intervention. The authorities informed him that the apartment did not belong to him, leaving Park Kang in a state of profound shock as he had lost everything overnight. When Seo-hwan arrived to pick him up, he failed to recognize her as his wife, further exacerbating the confusion and embarrassment. The police explained his apparent disorientation by mentioning his claim of being an actor. Kang and Seo-hwan found themselves in a state of bewilderment but eventually headed back home. Kang's mind was consumed by thoughts about their marriage, creating an endless loop of unanswered questions. Seo-hwan's patience wore thin due to Kang's incessant inquiries, leading her to deliver a slap in an attempt to shake him from his reverie. It was then that Kang noticed a passing taxi and suddenly recollected something from the previous night. In a hazy recollection, Kang remembered an evening spent drinking with someone named Jo Yoon, followed by a taxi ride. While the details remained elusive, Kang found himself back at home. Seo-hwan scolded him, skeptical of his vague memories. Things took an even more perplexing turn when Kang encountered his daughter, Ro-hee, for the first time. He confessed to her that he had lost his memory, erasing any recollection of their life together. Irritated, Seo-hwan announced her intention to visit friends after her art class, leaving Kang responsible for the children. Kang suggested hiring a babysitter, but Seo-hwan dismissed it, believing he was still under the influence of alcohol. The looming burden of unpaid bills added to their troubles. Yet, Kang remained fixated on the enigmatic taxi driver from that fateful night. Determined to uncover the truth, he decided to take the children along in his quest for answers. They visited the taxi company but found that describing the taxi yielded no breakthrough. In his pursuit of understanding his new life, Kang turned to his twin children for insights. Ro-hee revealed that he was an actor, though not a famous one. To Kang's surprise, Ro-hee even showed him a TV show where he had a small role. As night descended, Seo-hwan questioned Kang about an incident in which he had entered someone else's apartment earlier in the day. Kang then disclosed something astonishing. He had arrived from a different world after taking a peculiar taxi ride. The life he shared with Seo-hwan had been granted to him by the mysterious taxi driver. Seo-hwan dismissed this as nonsense, unable to fathom such an incredible story. As Kang lay beside Seo-hwan in bed, he grappled with discomfort when reminiscing about his past life without her. Sleeping alongside her was an entirely different experience from solitude, marking the beginning of his journey with his newfound family, sharing sleep, meals, parenting responsibilities, and embracing the role of a husband, a role he had never envisioned. Kang encountered difficulties in bonding with the twins and adapting to this repetitive new existence. One day, Seo-hwan reminded him of his work schedule at Mystic TV, a low-rated channel known for less than stellar movies. Kang, while performing well, harbored reservations about the channel. Unexpectedly, Kang's friend Ro-hee reached out, seeking assistance with her theater performance. Kang discovered that in this reality, he was making a living through theater shows alongside his TV career. During their meeting, Kang inquired about Jo Yoon, and Ro-hee informed him that Jo Yoon had achieved fame as an actor. Kang realized their career paths had diverged. Driven by a desire to understand his past choices, Kang infiltrated the agency where Jo Yoon worked. After a confrontation, Jo Yoon recognized Kang and extended an invitation for a meal. During their conversation, Kang learned that Jo Yoon had become an actor because Kang had once skipped an audition to be with Seo-hwan at the airport, a stark contrast to Kang's previous decision to prioritize his career over their relationship. With newfound clarity about his choices, Kang's feelings for Seo-hwan began to shift. He pondered what might have transpired if she had gone to New York a decade earlier, but Seo-hwan expressed a preference for their current life as a family. In a seemingly unrelated subplot, Kang and Ro-hee prepared for their theater performance, with Jo Yoon in the audience, appearing unimpressed by the show. Following that, they shared a meal together, courtesy of Jo Yoon's generosity. Jo Yoon appeared to have a fondness for Ro-hee, and it was evident that they had a connection from a previous life. In a surprising gesture, Jo Yoon left his credit cards behind for them to cover the cost of their dinner. Later, at Kang's residence, he joined in the festivities with Seo-hwan and her companions, using the restaurant fare he had brought along. Although Kang wasn't a renowned actor, he held considerable popularity among the women in the neighborhood. The following morning, Kang's mother paid a visit to their home. She differed significantly from the mother in Kang's alternate reality and expressed her displeasure upon learning that Kang had left his job. After spending some time with Kang and her grandchildren, Kang accompanied her to the terminal for her journey back home. She earnestly prayed for her son to land a significant role like Jo Yoon and offered him some financial support. She also urged him to treat his family well and purchase flowers for his father's gravesite. Kang complied with her requests except for visiting his father's grave, as it stirred painful memories. At a later date, Kang attended an audition, only to be asked to persuade Jo Yoon to participate in their movie, given their close friendship. This unexpected proposition surprised Jo Yoon, who decided to extend a job offer to Kang as his manager to assist him financially. Kang hesitated initially, as he had been disillusioned with his life. However, the following day, Kang encountered difficulties in reaching Seo-hwan and learned that she had left her gallery job to work at a convenience store, which left him disheartened. Upon checking his ATM balance and discovering a lack of funds, Kang ultimately accepted Jo Yoon's job offer. As Jo Yoon's manager, Kang assumed responsibilities such as managing schedules, providing on-set support, and handling encounters with the paparazzi. He even offered guidance to Jo Yoon during salary negotiations. Leveraging his 10 years of experience, Kang played a pivotal role in helping Jo Yoon maximize his earnings and even delved into script reading, a task he had previously not undertaken. His exceptional performance led to a role in a movie where he dazzled everyone with his acting abilities. Kang began to relish his role as the head of the family, nurturing a deeper love for his family than ever before. With a stable income, he could meet financial obligations promptly. However, this transformation didn't go unnoticed by Seo-hwan, especially when Kang expressed interest in moving to an apartment offered by Jo Yoon. Seo-hwan suspected that money had changed Kang and was reluctant to leave their modest home filled with cherished memories, while Kang's intentions were rooted in providing the best for his family, struggling to break free from his old mindset. For Seo-hwan, the most pivotal aspect in life wasn't their possessions, which often led to disagreements. One night, Kang, unable to sleep, ventured into his children's room, where he came to a profound realization that opulence wasn't a prerequisite for happiness. Kang had learned from his past errors that his true source of joy lay in being with his family, rather than amassing wealth in solitude. As time marched on, Kang transitioned away from his former existence. His dramatic success alongside Jo Yoon garnered him adoring fans and praise from the director, who even proposed a role swap between Kang and Jo Yoon. Kang's triumph culminated in a noteworthy interview that catapulted him from being an extra actor to a manager and ultimately a seasoned professional actor. His family rejoiced in his achievements, yet Kang continued to serve as Jo Yoon's manager. When Jo Yoon clinched the Best Actor award, he expressed gratitude to Kang for his unwavering support and declared Kang a superior actor to himself. Jo Yoon invited Kang to celebrate at a bar and offered him a 3-month overseas acting opportunity. Kang, however, declined, unwilling to forsake his family for such an extended period, preferring to seek alternative employment. In that moment, Jo Yoon bared his feelings for Ro-hee, a spirited young woman, and envied Kang's family life. Ro-hee picked up Jo Yoon, and Kang departed in a taxi. On Christmas Eve, Kang found himself reminiscing about his past when the taxi driver, to his astonishment, turned out to be his late father. His father expressed regret for not spending quality time with him due to work. Kang returned home, embraced his children, and put them to bed, knowing he wouldn't see them again. Seo-hwan shared with Kang a childhood photo of him and his father, leading Kang to grasp the significance of family moments. On his final day, Kang chose to spend it in slumber beside his wife. The next morning, he awoke in his lavish apartment, but with a profound sense of melancholy. Jo Yoon informed Kang about Seo-hwan's art exhibition, prompting Kang to request an audition. He attended the exhibition and encountered a painting of his dream home, prompting him to inquire of Seo-hwan about her inspiration. Kang then whisked Seo-hwan away to the very house depicted in the painting, realizing that his dream had become his most cherished reality. 2 years later, Kang and Seo-hwan exchanged vows, welcoming twin children and embarking on a fresh chapter of life together.